So today I'm going to show you some tips on how to improve your handwriting. Okay, so my goal for the year 2025, right now it's December 31st, 2025. And my goal for this year was to improve my handwriting, okay? Especially cursive. And as you can see, this is just a notebook I have laying around. This is my handwriting, okay? And this is kind of what I write with every day. I tend to have better cursive than print, and so if I can help it, I will write in cursive handwriting. I would suggest that everyone learn cursive. You know, print is fine, especially if you have a nice print, but you know, for the most part, when you're writing a letter, when you're writing to a family member, or when you just want to have some you know, ASMR alone by yourself, writing in cursive when you get the flow is very satisfying. It's almost like an art. It's almost like drawing. You know, you can kind of get in flow and you can really enjoy it. So first thing I'm going to teach you is the basic dimensions of each letter, okay? You have 4 things you need to remember, and I'm going to write them down right here. So you're going to have 4 lines, okay? I'm using graph paper. It's going to be a little bit easier to understand. Let me zoom in a little bit. So your first line that you need to remember is going to be your baseline. Your baseline is where the bottom of your letters touch. That's the baseline. Your second line is going to be your X height. That is where the top of your letters touch. A good way to remember is your X height is the height of an X. So that's the X height. That X is touching the baseline and the X height. Now you're gonna have an ascender line. The ascender is the height of your ascending letters. This is going to be like B or D or F, things like that. So if I were to write a B, that is the proper dimension for a B. Your descender, which is this line, is the same thing, but it's for your descending letters like Y and J, etc. So I'm going to do a Y right here. And just by applying this formula, this dimensions to each of your letters, you 100%, if you can keep it consistent, you will have nicer handwriting, okay? This is just, it's symmetrical to the eye. It's just how it works. And many scripts use this method. So this is obviously print. If I were to do some cursive, okay, an A would look like that. If I were to do some ascending letters, a B would look like that. And some descending letters, a J would look like that. That is the proper dimensions. Now, of course, this is scaled up. I don't tend to write this big. I usually write on this sheet of paper, but I typically cut this dimension in half. So I'm going to show you an example. This is going to be my baseline. This is going to be my X height. This is going to be my ascender, and this is going to be my descender. Okay, B, X, A, and D. Now, if I can apply the same dimensions but on a smaller scale, it'll look the same. Got your X, right? You've got your B. You've got your Y. If I do a cursive A, get your cursive A. You've got your cursive B. And you've got your cursive J. That is the size of your letters that you should follow. Doesn't matter how big or small you write, the dimensions should always stay the same. Now, this is my technique. Obviously, there are some people who don't follow this and they have beautiful handwriting, but when you're starting out, this is a good guide to keep in reference, okay? Tip number 2, for cursive writing, understand your strokes. In cursive writing, it's a lot of repetitive strokes. You're not thinking about writing each letter, you're thinking about each stroke, okay? And so the most basic strokes are the upstroke, the overturn, so this is the underturn, overturn. This is the large underturn. This is the large overturn. You've got straight, the large straight, and you've got your oval. Now, what's very interesting is that with all of these strokes, you can make every letter of the alphabet. For instance, the letter A, it is very simply an overturn, an oval, a straight, and an underturn. And when you put those together, you have the letter A. If you want to do the letter B, you have a large underturn, down stroke, another half oval, so sometimes you have to cut that in half, but it's the same motion. And then to connect it, people put the little, it doesn't matter how you connect it, okay? Now, that's your letters, okay? If I were to do something like the letter Y, for instance, it's a little trickier. Y, overturn, underturn. Oh my goodness. Now that is not very pretty. That's more like how I do it. So that's going to be an overturn, straight down, underturn, straight down, and over. Let me do that again for you. I kind of fucked that one up. Overturn, straight down, underturn, straight down, just like that. So, if you want to, a good practice is for each of these strokes, fill a line with each of these strokes and focus, focus, overturn, overturn, overturn. You see? Just like that. Tip number 3 is focus on your angle. Okay? I'm going to write an example word here, and I'm going to show you what's wrong with it. Okay? That word doesn't look very pretty, okay? Now, it's not necessarily because the letters are ugly. Each letter is actually quite nice, quite beautiful. It's because they're different angles, right? So the A, the angle looks like that. The N, the angle's going like that. The G, as you can see, the angle of each letter is off. So you want to have a consistent angle. If you want to write a more school type of vibe, your angle is going to be a little bit more steep, a little bit more like that. For a more aesthetic kind of vibe, you want to have a nice angle. Now they say 52 degrees. I think that's crazy. I mean, if you want to be anal about it, you can, but I don't. Just try to get it right. And so by looking at this angle that I'm about to draw, I'm going to write this word again while keeping that angle in mind. Okay? A, N, G, L, E. Now that's a much prettier word than that one, and that's because all the letters abide by the same angle. And so with these 3 steps, these are the fundamental steps of learning cursive, okay? And if you can keep a consistent X height, ascender and descender line, and stay on the baseline, you're gonna have good dimension. If you can keep consistent strokes, you're gonna have good shape. And if you can keep a consistent angle, it's gonna be much more aesthetic. This is the fundamental 3 steps of how to write with beautiful cursive. Be careful when it comes to pressure. Okay? The next tip that I would have would be posture. Please have nice posture. Okay? Having bad posture, it's gonna hurt your back, and it's not gonna make writing as enjoyable. The whole reason you're trying to learn cursive writing is because you wanna sit down and you wanna write something that you can be proud of. And you can't really be proud of what you write when after your hand is cramping and your back hurts. That's not how it works. So be careful with that. Oh my goodness, I fucked that one up. Take your time. When you start out, it might be frustrating because you're gonna spend a long time writing and you're only gonna have written a couple things. If you practice, you can fill a whole sheet of paper in maybe 15 minutes. But when you're trying to write and focus on each stroke, it takes a little while, okay? And so when I mean take your time, I mean take your time now and take your time for the future, okay? This is a process. You're not gonna have good handwriting in a week or a month, maybe even 3 months. You have to take your time. You have to trust the process. Eventually, it'll come. It'll be a little more smoother. By time, you'll start to understand how everything goes, and it'll just get easier and easier from now on. When it's real difficult in a couple weeks because you're still struggling, push through it. Keep working, keep practicing, keep writing. Every time you put a pen to paper, focus. And that would be another tip, okay? Always focus. I can't tell you how many times that I've spent a super long time. I'm at the cafe or I'm sitting at my desk and I'm spending, an hour trying to write, trying to do my best, and then I get lazy. And for 5 minutes, I just start scribbling and writing just how I used to. Well, guess what? After you do that, your natural habits, they've come back. And you're trying to get rid of that. You're trying to develop new habits, better habits. And so when you spend a long time, trying to write good, and then you go write your grocery list for 5 minutes and you just scribble it as fast as you can, you're throwing all that out the window. Focus only on lowercase. Focus only on lowercase. Capital letters may be 3% of a page of writing. You don't write capital letters as often as you might think. And when you're writing in a paragraph, those capital letters in the middle, they don't need to be super flourished and all beautiful. They just need to be a capital letter. The first letter of an essay or the first letter of a letter, you can put some flourish and you can make it look nice and pretty. But 90% of the letters you are gonna write, maybe even more, are lowercase. So practice the lowercase letters, okay? Don't waste your time with the uppercase. Those are gonna come. Right now, it's been a year, I haven't really practiced uppercase at all. I have a few, my T, you see, it's very simple. It's just, and my P's as well. So don't stress about the uppercase. Focus on the lowercase, focus on your strokes, all that stuff. Have fun with pens. Have fun with pens. Find one that you really like. Find one that you really don't like. Do bold ones. Write with fine ones. I would practice with fine ones, but experiment. Have fun. If you see a pen or you find one laying on the ground, pick it up and write with it. You never know. I went through a lot of different pens before I realized I liked this one the most. And same with fountain pens. I went through a lot to realize that I like this one the most. And when I write print, I like this one the most. So have fun with the pens. Write with all the different ones you can find. Even sometimes use a pencil. I don't really like to use pencils, and I never really do. But you totally can. There's nothing stopping you from using a pencil. It's totally fine. It does the same thing as long as you're practicing those strokes. I'm gonna leave it at that. I wanna say thank you guys. Don't write with felt tips or Sharpies. I'll tell you that. That's another thing. It's just too bold. But Thank you. Look at that. Thank you very much. From Myers.